The birth of the technology. Bitcoin was created thanks to a movement of libertarians known as the cypherpunks. These were composed of cryptographers, programmers, and privacy activists here to protect individual freedom. A group with one dream, that of creating an electronic cash for the internet. It is important to understand that Bitcoin was not the first attempt of creating online currencies secured by cryptography. In 1989, the first electronic cash the world had ever seen was named DigiCash. This form of eCash allowed private transactions online. A decade later, a computer engineer and cypherpunk named Wei Dai attempted a new electronic cash called B-Money. B-Money was an anonymous, distributed electronic cash system, but it also used contracts for bookkeeping and cryptography for digital signatures or public keys. This proposal was very close to what Bitcoin has become today. As a matter of fact, Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, reached out to Wei Dai in order to create a more advanced form of this vision, Bitcoin. So what made Bitcoin's technology different from the DigiCash and B-Money? One word: blockchain. Bitcoin was the very first form of completely decentralized electronic cash, meaning that Bitcoin would not rely on any trusted third party thanks to its blockchain. Bitcoin created disintermediation and a real peer-to-peer electronic form of cash, independent from all banking systems.
What Bitcoin did in its first 2 years of existence is not replicatable. This is what makes it decentralized. It's not because some guy is funding a bunch of developers that made it decentralized. That's not how it works. It was decentralized because it was a grassroots effort, not knowing if it was ever going to have value. That's what made it decentralized. The fact that it was able to spread around the world, the fact that there are hard drives in landfills with thousands of Bitcoin on them is what made it decentralized. And no other coin will ever have that.
Now, what is Bitcoin's decentralized blockchain? Bitcoin uses blockchain technology as the backbone of its decentralized network. Simply put, a blockchain is like a train, and the block is like one of the wagons. Instead of having people, the wagon stores data and keeps a public and permanent record of every transaction. A permanent record means the chain can never be altered nor removed, and it is open to all. On top of its transparency and immutability, the Bitcoin blockchain is also the most secure, stable, and safest network with 0 hacks to date. And these hacks are still highly unlikely thanks to the layer of cryptography, the work of miners, and its incentive models.
People don't realize how complex of a network it is. I worked in banks. We would have loved to have had a system with 10 years with essentially no downtime. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. And to have such high amounts of transactions going through Bitcoin every 10 minutes, and to have never really gone down in 10 years is unheard of. And I think it's a sign of the hard work that many people have put through, whether that's the miners, the core devs, the people running nodes, the people running exchanges. It's quite a compliment to achieve that.
Another main innovation with Bitcoin compared to other failed attempts was the so-called proof of work. Proof of work creates a distributed, trustless consensus that incentivizes all participants in the network, serving both as an award system and a consensus mechanism. Proof of work is a method ensuring that putting information on the block is difficult to do, costly, and time-consuming. Simply put, a proof of work system creates a mathematical problem for miners to solve. All miners compete with their advanced machines to solve this cryptographic problem and find that magic number to validate the transaction. The winning miner is then rewarded in Bitcoin for their work. Although finding such a rare number is hard for miners, verifying its validity for us is easy. One issue with mining is that this process has an energy cost, similar to gold extracted from a mine.
When you hear the term mining, 99.9% of that is going to be what's called proof of work. So the algorithm that gives you the decentralization, the part of the blockchain that's super clever, that enables it to maintain itself. That is done by allowing people to form a consensus opinion. Now, how do you know they're people? By doing something that's mathematically really, really complicated and solving a mathematical problem, you are proving that you are a real person, or in this case, a real machine. Something is actually being done. When you hear of hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin miners, actually what you've got is a handful, maybe of 20, 30 pools. These are the people that actually fill in the block template and submit the block template onto the blockchain. And lots, hundreds of thousands, millions perhaps, of computers that are just trying to solve a simple sum. So they're huge prime numbers, and there are some, as soon as somebody manages to solve it, they submit it to the pool, and the pool goes, oh my goodness, this is great. This means we have solved a block, so we get the block reward. And the block reward, 12 Bitcoin or whatever, gets paid out to the pool, which they then distribute to all these millions and millions of people. This is why you hear about people Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining, or whatever they're doing. They're mining because they would like to receive some cryptocurrency directly as it gets emitted by the blockchain. And why does the blockchain emit? Well, the blockchain emits because whoever came up with Bitcoin in the first place realized if we make each block that gets added to the blockchain emit a reward in tokens, in Bitcoin, that encourages people to get involved and to be part of the Bitcoin network. So it's a self-rewarding system that also is self-policing. It's a secure system through consensus and distribution.
The cost in electrical energy varies according to the different countries. Between 2018 and 2019, Kuwait was among the cheapest countries to mine Bitcoin through renewable energy and solar power. The cost to mine one Bitcoin averaged between $1,700 and $1,900 US. When it comes to concerns with energy consumption, it is key to understand that over 70% of Bitcoin mining comes from this renewable energy. What about the transactions in the blocks? So every transaction registered in the blocks are confirmed by the Bitcoin miners, and a new block is created roughly every 10 minutes. Once the block is created, it is verified by every single person who is currently hosting the network, meaning that once everyone agrees for the block to be created, it cannot be changed. This is what makes the ledger decentralized. No individual person, nor miner as they are known, can make a change to the network without every other individual agreeing to make the change. This is what makes Bitcoin an immutable truth. In over a decade, Bitcoin has never been hacked, and in order to do so, every computer across the globe with a copy of Bitcoin's blockchain in the world would have to be changed simultaneously, thus making Bitcoin the safest network ever created.
The main thing about this is that individuals can independently take control of their finances, and they can decide what software to run, which consensus rules to follow, and then they become a participant in the security of the system. That's empowering. So that's the most important thing to realize about this technology.
What about Bitcoin's scalability for mass adoption? One of the biggest challenges for Bitcoin is to scale enough for 1. Billions of people to use, 2. To process 100,000 transactions per second and more, 3. Allow microtransactions close to free of cost.
If you go to the bank or Wells Fargo or anywhere else and try and send $3 into South Africa or Rwanda or Philippines, Indonesia, if you try and send a small amount of money, you'll find that you're absolutely shut out if you don't use the existing banking system. And even in the banking system, you'll see the fees are massive. Crypto cuts that out. If you can pay somebody with crypto, all of a sudden, you don't need to have these monster fees that come with the international transfers.
So some people have built side chains as a layer on top of Bitcoin so that you don't have to worry about Bitcoin transaction fees or block times, and it's a faster transfer mechanism of Bitcoin.
Unfortunately, decentralized networks with on-chain transactions are extremely difficult to scale as of today, because we cannot have decentralization, security, and speed all together. Bitcoin is secure and decentralized, but cannot be speedy as well. Luckily enough, we have secondary scaling solutions to solve this problem. These scaling solutions can be layer 2 solutions like the Lightning Network that build protocols on top of the network, or a layer built on the side of the network like sidechains. The Lightning Network is a layer 2 payment protocol which enables fast transactions among participating nodes and has been touted as a solution to the Bitcoin scalability problem.
Lightning has kind of put another layer on top of Bitcoin where developers can come in and be creative. And that's why you've seen quite a lot of interest in apps that have been built. But essentially, Lightning It's a way of caching transactions. I mean, I'm trying to talk about it at the highest level, but the way I see it is it's a cache on top of Bitcoin. Now you have payment channels which allow people to route messages across each other, but I view them as all kind of caches.
So few transactions are going to be done on-chain because you can't scale on-chain transactions. You got to scale them off-chain. And off-chain, Bitcoin has a dozen good proposals to give you privacy and fungibility as a second layer solution through wallets, through Lightning, through Liquid, and through lots of other innovations that are coming between Taproot and Bulletproofs and the latest in Schnorr signatures. Bitcoin will have sufficient privacy for the needs of consumers.
In the last decade, and since Bitcoin's birth, we have witnessed great progress in Bitcoin's technology, mining, proof-of-work mechanism, peer-to-peer transactions, and adoption. In the next decade, we look forward to seeing scaling solutions carry out millions of transactions almost instantaneously and manage micropayments at the lowest costs. And that's why Bitcoin is the most decentralized, secure, and advanced form of money in the history of mankind.